What if I told you there is a power that you have that if you could learn to master or control this power within you, you could achieve anything? We're going to talk about that power that you have access to in this episode of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show.
Are you ready to take your message, your business, and your life to the next level?
Want to learn from someone with more than a decade of experience, training tens of thousands of people from all around the world?
Hi, Cliff. This is Pauline from Auckland, New Zealand.
John from Calgary, Alberta.
Amy Porterfield.
Michael Hyatt.
Dan here from Dunedin, New Zealand.
Ray Edwards.
Mark Mason. Mike Stelzner.
Pat from Smart Passive Income.
It's Darren from Melbourne, Australia.
Now is the time to live the life of your dreams and do the work you feel most called to do in the world.
Welcome to the Cliff Ravenscraft Show.
Here's your host, Cliff Ravenscraft.
Welcome back, my friend. Today we're going to be talking about that unlimited power that you could tap into, and it's called focus or attention. Wherever your focus goes, energy flows. This was a saying that I heard probably for the first time just about 6 or 7 years ago. I may have heard it offhanded before then, but it really stood out to me. I began to journal about it. I began to explore what is the deeper meaning behind wherever focus goes, energy flows. And when I began to tap into the truth of the deeper meanings of that, my life began to shift in some pretty powerful ways. Now, what I want to do is I want to share with you just some notes that I typed into a blank document that was sitting here when I'm like, what do I want to talk about in this week's episode of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show? And I just allowed the creativity to flow through me, and I began typing. And this is what came out. Where focus goes, energy flows. Another way of saying this, where you place your attention, that is what is created and or experienced in your life. Where you place your attention. Now, not just where you place your attention, but it's where you place your attention focused, intentionally, consistently. Where that attention goes, that's where the focus is. And where that focus is, energy will flow there. I want you to, by the way, I'm breaking free from the notes here for just a second, because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create this episode out of this outline and flow with it. So I want you to confirm that this is true. All right? I want you to confirm that this is true. Now, you may be driving a car, and I do not want you to close your eyes if you are, or if you're operating heavy machinery in some sort of warehouse or something like that. I don't want you to close your eyes or anything. But right now, you're hearing my voice. And as you're hearing my voice, and if you're looking around, you may be seeing and aware of some of the surroundings of what around you. Some of you are now actually seeing things that have been around you the entire time, but you're just now noticing them because that's where your focus has just gone. But here's what I want you to do. Chances are you are probably wearing clothes right now. And what I want you to do, not looking down, not even, you don't have to look anywhere for this, all right? But we're going to place your focus for just a moment slightly in the area of your legs, and let's just say where your thighs are. All right. So what I want you to do is I want you to place your focus. Now, I want you to, if you're driving, keep your eyes on the road, and don't worry, if you're on a highway, you should be able to do this at the same time. But I want to ask you, can you feel the clothing that is rubbing against your thigh, or that is up against your thigh? Can you feel the clothing on your skin? Now, question for you. Before you hit play on this episode, when were you last consciously aware of that feeling? Chances are, maybe not in a very long time. Even in many cases, you may not have been aware of it when you were putting your clothes on. each day, every day for the last several months. You may not have been consciously aware that energy was felt there. The reason why is it's not felt when the focus isn't there. The energy always is, but the focus is not. And you brought it to life in your mind, in your consciousness, in your awareness. You brought it forth into your reality today, just now, by putting a small amount of your focus into the sensational data, the sense data that is coming from the receptor cells on your skin, and it felt the texture of the clothing on your thigh. If you happen to be wearing shoes, and you have socks on, do you feel the socks? Do you feel the socks on the heel of your foot? What about on the top of your foot? And let's just say maybe you're laying down in bed and you're listening to this. Can you actually just for just a moment, can you feel your knee, its existence? Whether it has a blanket on top of it, whether it's exposed to the air or it's exposed to clothing, can you sense your knee? You don't have to look there, but can you just be aware of it? Your conscious attention. Wherever your focus goes, energy instantly flows in that direction and comes into your awareness. And then it becomes a part of your conscious reality, the reality that you are building, the reality that you are experiencing. See, you had that feeling that was accessible to you the whole time, but it wasn't a part of your reality, the feeling, the sensation, the experience of that feeling wasn't there. All right. Now, my question is, where does all this go? Let me go back to my notes here. I wrote down next, I am what I consider to be a high achiever. I have mastered many tools and techniques and strategies that help me learn and accomplish many things that I set my mind to. And you have as well, all right? I admit that others might prioritize different things than what I've chosen to focus on in my life. And I also admit that there are a number of things that other people would consider to be a priority over the things that I've chosen to focus on in my life. And I have only ever found myself feeling behind or less successful than I should be when I compare my experience, my life, my reality to other people's standards. Here's the situation, though. I have an amazing life, and I have achieved remarkable things, and so have you. But the common challenge that you and I and everyone else on this planet seems to face is that we have so many opportunities to be exposed to everyone else sharing their life experiences, their definitions of success, their chosen priorities. And they do this through social media, in the books that they write, the podcasts that they do. It's easy to become captivated by other people's appealing outcomes. And we might say to ourselves, well, first and foremost, we're not focused on all of the things that have gone exactly the way that we have envisioned for our own life. We forget about all the things that we set out to do and accomplished. We said, I'm going to go do this, and we achieved that. It's kind of like the things that we have done and moved on, we kind of just brush them under the rug. It's like, well, it's not as important as other people's stuff, and it's not as captivating as that. It's not as exciting as what other people have done. But to us, it's what we've gone after. It's what we set our sights on. It's what we've put our focused attention, sustained energy towards, and that's what we've created. And some of it is pretty fantastic. And we might allow ourselves to feel good in the moment. And it's kind of like we might feel the sensation of that, maybe consciously feel the material against the skin when we're putting our clothes on. But for the rest of our day, or in the metaphorical rest of our life, our waking life, we become completely unconscious of the experiences that we have so much gratitude for if we were to focus on them, to understand just how big some of the things we have are. But when we take our conscious awareness, our attention, our focus, and place it on the story of someone else who has said, building wealth beyond, I was watching a podcast, watching, so it was I think it was Diary of a CEO. And there was this woman out there that says, okay, what you want to do is you want to write down all of your skills on the left-hand side. Okay, and they made a list of all the skills. And then on the right-hand side, it's like, how can I take these skills to earn as much money as humanly possible? And the idea is that is what success is. That you would never settle for serving and having as a client or achieving anything less than what's the most amount of money humanly possible. And you could watch this story for somebody who says, this is how you define success. This is how you build incredible wealth so you never have to work another day in your life. This is how you become an owner and not an earner. And all of a sudden, I found myself even getting in there, listening to this and like, oh man, I'm still an earner. Oh, wow, pity me. And when my focus goes over there, my attention goes over there, I am not actually feeling the gratitude of what I have. And then all of a sudden, what happens is I go over there and I'm like, okay, what would it take for me to have what they have? And then most people fail to ask this question, at what cost? And see, I do ask that question. I've learned to ask that question. Do I believe that what they're suggesting as an avenue of success and an outcome that seems desirable to me, is that what I want? And many times the immediate response is, yes, I absolutely want that. However, I've learned also to take the time to ask, well, do I believe it's possible? And I think the answer is yes. If my heart truly desires it, I believe the answer to that question is also yes. If it's a dream, then there's a path there, and there may be even more than one path. There's just something a part of my intuitive part of me that says that's true. However, when I ask myself, what would I be willing to give to achieve it? And then it's like, and at what cost? What sacrifices would be made? And this is where I and myself have seen other people kind of fail. They're like, wow, it's like, yes, I want it. Yes, I want it. Yes, I want it. They don't ask anything at what cost. They just make the decision, go for it. I've been there. I've done that. And then they just start going after it and trying to do the things they see those people doing without the foundation of all the hard knocks that came along for those individuals. And also without recognizing that we may or may not currently have some of the missing ingredients that they don't even know consciously that are responsible for them to be in a place at a time for things to work out for them to have that experience. And yet we want to experience that within 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, when it's taken them all of their life up until the moment of that interview to have that experience. And many times, those people, and I've heard many of their stories, and I've experienced even my own journey, where there are working 12, 14, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week around the clock. That was the first few years of my business. And all of the other sacrifices that came along the way, all of the failure and defeat that happened and all of the things that didn't work out, these things sometimes get brought up in these interviews, in these books, in these stories, not always, and certainly not to the books would be too long. Nobody has time to read an entire library full of what has happened and transpired and been experienced and documented in somebody else's life. So anyway, I'm riffing down a different rabbit trail there, but I think I'll just pull out from that for just a moment. And I want to talk to you about the power of focus. So whatever it is that you do focus on, and by the way, for me, I'm like, I do want what they have. I am willing to pay the cost. It's important enough to me. Here's why I must have it. Here's the immediate pleasure that I will gain by the daily progression towards this goal. Here is the immediate unbearable pain that I will experience each day that's not a part of my experience of life. And I can create neuroassociations. I can use tools, techniques, and strategies that I've learned about focus, energy, attention, mindset, and putting things on autopilot, hypnotic rhythms, and all of these other things that are available to us. And I can go after it, and I can achieve things that an older version of me, like an older version, a younger version of me, older in time back in the day, would have thought who I am and what I'm experiencing today as an absolute impossibility. If you were to go back to Cliff Ravenscraft, back in 2008, 2009, and say, hey, I believe one day you are going to be, and then fill in the blank and talk about the things that I achieved from, let's just say, 2015 through 2024, through the end of 2024. Tell me where I'm living. Tell me what I'm earning. Tell me the clients that I'm working with, the type of work that I'm doing. Tell me about the amount of margin in my schedule. Tell me about the places that I've visited around the world. Tell me about all of these things. And then say, wouldn't that be amazing? And that version of me back then would have said, yeah, right. That's for other people. I don't have what it takes. And that was true. At the time, I did not have what it took. It took all of those years to develop an expansion of what my beliefs are, an expansion of an understanding about my emotional status and my ability to be in control at some level of my emotions. It's taken me a lot of experience and conversations and investments and learning so many valuable things along the way. Now, could I have the aid of a teacher, a guide, a mentor, a coach who could help me get those places further, faster? Yes. But that still does not erase or negate the need to learn along the way. However, here's the situation. What I have learned, this is the tool, this is the technique. If you can remain focused on a goal, an outcome, and you refuse to let up on your consistent, relentless, focused attention on that one thing, you can achieve it. Wherever your focused attention goes, the creative energy that is a part of who you are and your awareness can bring it in to a physical manifestation of that experience. It is absolutely within your power to take your focus and put it on something. Now, I caution you to make sure that whatever it is that you set as your goal, whatever it is that you choose to focus on, whatever it is that you choose to bring into your experience of life, I would encourage you to get really honest with yourself and ask yourself, do I truly, authentically want this? You see, where I have found myself going after things that I thought that I wanted. I put my attention, my focus there. I'm making great strides towards it. And then all of a sudden, somewhere along the way, I recognized, this is costing way too much. This does not feel aligned with who I am. This feels like way too much effort. And when I say effort, it's like there's a difference between effort and effortless action. And I love the experience of what I call effortless action. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't put forth energy. It doesn't mean that I don't work hard. It's just that when I'm working hard and when I'm putting in hours and when I am focused on an outcome that is aligned authentically with who I am and what I truly feel connected to creating in this world, none of that ever feels like effort. It feels effortless. It feels like play. So I would encourage you when you're doing your goals for 2025 and because as I'm recording this, we're 13 days in. I'm recording this on Monday. You guys are going to get this on Friday. But anyway, still here in January of 2025, or whenever you're listening to this, when you're sitting down looking at your goals, have you truly asked yourself, why do I want these outcomes? Are they aligned with what truly is what your heart, your soul, your spirit desires? Because I can tell you right now, I've seen people dedicate decades of their life to building a dream. And they had put all of their focus, all of their energy and attention towards that dream. They realized that dream. They inspired and influenced countless others with that dream, only to realize after they had attained it that it had no life for them, that it really didn't feel satisfying at all. And it, in many ways, brought about countless burdens into their life. They became among the masses known as the over-obligated and under-committed. I've been there a few times in my life after a multi-year progression towards certain outcomes in my own life. And thankfully, I was able to have some powerful people in my life ask me, what's your motivation here? And I was able to course correct when I actually found that what I was doing wasn't aligned with what I truly wanted in life. It's just what I had come to accept as the standard of success, the thing that I should want as a husband and a father, the thing that I should want as a business owner, the thing that I should want as a content creator, the thing that I should be. It's the shoulds. And I was so heavily hypnotized by other people's experiences, other people's standards, other people's ideas of what successful life is all about. And when I stepped back and say, wow, what is my own perception of life? What is my own feelings and philosophy about what this whole thing is? And what do I want to create with what I have available to me? Do I want to create what other people told me I should want to create? Or do I want to create something authentically aligned to me? There is a Howard Thurman quote that I absolutely love. And he said, whatever you do, don't ask what the world needs. Instead, ask what makes you come alive and go do that. Because here's what the world truly needs. It's more people who have come alive. And you know what? When I look at some of my friends, some of my peers, my mentors, some of my students or clients who, in terms of other people's definitions of success, are far more successful, have achieved things far beyond what I have achieved. when I think about what they have done, I must say sometimes I'm like, oh, I would love that. Yet when I think about my life, and I'm on a 3-week personal creative working retreat right now. I'm currently in the middle of my 3rd week away in solitude, quiet reflection. And I got to tell you, I am reconnected to my authentic core self. Beyond my beliefs, beyond my ideas, beyond the mind, that voice in my head that, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and all of the other stuff, beyond the voices of other people's opinions of what I could or should or do, I am here connected at my authentic core, and I realize I am at the perfect place in my life for what I'm here to experience. And wow, have I achieved some incredibly awesome things. And how did I achieve them? It's through sustained, focused attention. And if I want those other things, I could have them as well. I might have to learn a bunch of new skills. I may not have everything it takes right now. It could take a period of time. It could take a lot of willingness to fail. It could take a lot of investment of around-the-clock investments of time, effort, and energy to do things. I don't know. The question I'm asking is it what I want authentically at my core? Or what do I want? What would be a satisfactional life for me? What would be a fulfilling life by my standards? What's my philosophy of the abundance of life? Is it the idea of having enough financial wealth to where you never have to work again? Is my idea of success? I'm not saying that I don't enjoy the idea of that as an idea, and it may be a goal that I go after again at some point in the future. It's just in my pursuit of that, I've never felt fully aligned. And I recognize some of that could be limiting beliefs, but at some level, I think that there is a part of me that says, I have practically everything that I want. And I have access to so much. If I just look and see some of the experiences and how things have shown up for me, the opportunities that exist, I've not taken advantage of even a small percentage of what's already around me right here, right now. And I could go beyond what I've experienced as my own personal definition of success. And what would get me there? Sustained focus. Where focus goes, energy flows. Okay, so one of the things that I will share with you is finding your authentic focus. Once you find what you truly want. I did an episode not too long ago in the feed, and let me see if I can find it. It is in the Cliff Ravenscraft Show archives. It's something about the 50 things I want exercise, and I'm pretty sure that I gave that entire resource to you guys some time back, and I'm actually going to find it here. Okay, I found it. It is episode 747. What do you desire? Does your path have a heart? Episode 747. So just look into the archives. One of the things that I talk about is the 50 things I want exercise. Go through that and find out truly, authentically, what is it that you desire. But then here's what I've determined. Whatever I focus on consistently, that is what I'm going to experience. So one of the things that I have learned is when I have New Year's resolutions or I create new goals, I get really excited about them for a period of time and I get laser focused on them. And every day seems to be consumed with thought related to that. I'm watching YouTube videos related to it. I am reading books related to it. I'm taking courses. I hire a coach in the area. So there's a lot of sustained, focused attention given to the desired outcome. As a result of that, I'm seeing results. I'm seeing progression towards the desired outcome. It's just how things go. Now, what happens, I've noticed this as well, and this is why wherever focus goes, that's where the energy flows. If you take away the focus, if you put the attention somewhere else and never bring it back to check in on the progress you've made or the outcome that you've desired over here, don't be surprised if you have created no method for tracking or updating or reflecting. How am I doing in sustaining what I've achieved so far or what I accomplished? Sustaining that, if I don't have systems to bring the focus back there to say, how am I doing in this area? Then what can happen is unconsciously, you could find yourself 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 3 years down the road, and all of a sudden you're not even aware that you've completely lost all of that progress. You've just, it's went away. And that has happened a number of times in a number of areas of my life. However, every single time that has ever happened, some people might call that failure. I know that my inner critic sometimes has told me that, Cliff, you've failed once again. I get it. However, I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't listen to you right now. I am so excited about what I've achieved over here. So I'll give you a perfect example. There was this time when I read the Prosperous Coach book. I think it was in July of 2019. And oh my gosh, I really went all in on this book. I read this book first of all, I listened to the audiobook once and it blew my mind. I heard so many things. I began journaling about bits and pieces of it. I then listened to the audiobook one more time. I then got the ebook version of it and began highlighting the heck out of it. I then went and got the physical version and highlighted the heck out of it. And then I'm like, wow, I'm fully consumed on this book right now. I then went and subscribed to Rich Litvin's channel and his email newsletter. I went and subscribed to Steve Chandler's email newsletter because those are the two authors of the book. I signed up for every workshop, every paid product that you could sign up to attend via these live calls that they were doing. And I came away from those with pages and pages and pages of notes and insights that I took away. And I went to live events and just mind-blowing insight and so much focus, so much energy, so much attention. And all of a sudden, I am absolutely finding my own experience of life manifesting, bringing forth into my reality my imagined experience, my desired outcomes of high-end clients buying high-ticket offers and having long, lengthy contracts and having amazing life transformational experiences at the highest level beyond. I would have been afraid to even dream of having clients like this just 5 or 10 years earlier. But this was my reality now because I was immersed deeply. My focus was immersed deeply in that world. And I will share with you that over time, there was this event in the world. By the way, before I go there, let me share another area that I had achieved success. So it was November 2014. And I think it was November 14th, 2014. I'm pretty sure that's what, because I did a podcast episode the day I decided to start living. And I made a commitment back there. I'm going to work out 6 days a week, every week for the rest of my life. And I did. I actually maintained that for, I think it was almost 6 years. certainly over 5. I mean, I believe it was 6 years. Yeah, it was 6 years, because November, actually, well, if you think of all of 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 5 years, just over 5 years, I faithfully remained committed to working out at least 6 days a week, every week. This was another thing, by the way, that I put my attention on. Now, ironically, 2019, okay, I don't think that putting my focus on the prosperous coach kept me from the success that I was experiencing and the continuity and consistency that I was experiencing on the fitness side. I'll explain to you what I think caused that, what my current theory and belief is about what caused it. But what happened was, back in November 2014, I put my focus there. In 2014, but gosh, that's another story. My wife and I decided to build our dream home, and I'm not going to go into that story right now. Some of you have heard the story before. But anyway, we decided to build our dream home. We made the business I made, because I don't know if Stephanie and I were doing anything jointly at the time. So it was just through the podcasting A to Z course that I was offering, and equipment sales and one-off tutorial sales. I generated $750,000 in 1 year. When prior to that, my income wasn't always that high every year, but we needed a significant jolt of fresh new income in 1 year to be able to put a sizable cash deposit down, and then we furnished everything in our dream home with cash, and it was a super awesome year. Yet another thing, it was sustained focus, energy, and attention. I made it happen, and quite frankly, it was a sustained focus that created all of that. But anyway, one of the things that I did in 2015, I took 9 months off. I basically did the bare minimum to only show up for paid clients who had an existing, ongoing, regular connection to what I was offering at the time. And for 9 months of 2015, I worked out between 1 to 3 hours a day. And when I was at the gym working out, some of the, 1 hour was with a personal trainer. And then when I wasn't with a personal trainer, I was listening to audiobooks about physical fitness and health. I was watching YouTube videos about physical fitness and health. And also at the time, I had a coach that was helping me understand the ketogenic lifestyle. I had all sorts of materials and books that I was reading on that, and I implemented that. And I started out November 2014, I weighed nearly 300 pounds. And by September 2019, actually even in September 2018, I went to Franklin, Tennessee to do my Free the Dream conference. And I weighed in, I think at Free the Dream 2018, I probably was standing on the stage at about 184 pounds. And at Free the Dream 2019, I weighed in at right around 279.5 pounds. I know that I had broke 180. And I'm like, man, this is amazing. This is what it really feels like to have this sustained focus, this sustained energy, this attention over here. And so while all of that may have happened, right? Have I had a $750,000 a year, in any of the years following there? No. Why not? Well, first and foremost, didn't need it. It wasn't a priority for me. What was a priority? My health and physical fitness. That was a priority. I chose to take my conscious attention, my focus, and I took it off of this income generating activities and systems. And I said, you know what? I want to take so much of that thing that allowed me to take an idea in my mind of massive income. And by the way, I had so much extra income above and beyond what I had even anticipated earning, that I'm like, I have a lot of freedom right now and margin in my life to go over here and do this. Now, I understand by the priorities and the ideas of success of others that I would have actually been much better off if I would have taken all of that extra money and invested it here and put savings over here and maybe hired some people and team members so that my business could run without me and all this other stuff. Trust me, the inner critic has already been there. I don't need any outside people to tell me that that's what I should have done. That inner critic was there the whole time. And I'm like, that's not what I feel aligned. I'm living my life here. I was able to create this in that year. I can create things big again in the future. And that's what I was going with. That was my idea. That's whatever it is that you set your mind on. This is what I'm creating. I have access to do again what I did in the year before we built that house. I have the ability. I have that creative energy. I just need the focused attention on a desired outcome of something that's authentically aligned. Now, I can tell you right now, was I authentically aligned with making $750,000 in 12 months as a solopreneur? Was that my real ambition? No. You have to know the story behind the house. You have to know the story about why my wife had the dream of having this house and what it meant to her and what it meant to us as a family. You have to know the behind the story. There were so many elements that made that something that was aligned. And when we had the house, the alignment for continuing that level of income, and of course, certainly at that sustained level of effort and energy. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, was the desire for it there? No. By other people's standards, it would have been there, but not mine, not then. And I can't go back and change what my standards were then. I have no desire to go back and change what has been. Why would I suffer by desiring for something in my past to be different than what it actually was? I'm more than happy to evaluate it and ask myself, what can I learn from it? And based upon what I have experienced and what I've learned and what I evaluate, what do I desire from what's possible with what I have today? And even now, my question is, wow, I have the unlimited creative force of all that is in this world. If I put my conscious, focused attention on something that I truly desire and that's aligned with a dream that's authentically mine, I believe I can achieve anything, that the resources will appear, that the creative energy will be. And if it means that I want to do something and it requires that I work 7 days a week for hours and hours a day, if that time comes up where something like that comes up for me again, it will be effortless if it's the right thing. I'm not saying that it won't necessarily be, I'm not saying there won't be physical energy expelled. I'm not saying there's not mental energy and stuff like that. However, balanced with self-care and doing those things, those are exciting things when it's authentically aligned. So here's what I will say. So I focused my energy. I was reading books, studying. I had a personal trainer, health and fitness books. And my experience was that I lost all of that weight, right? And then July 2019, I'm reading The Prosperous Coach, and I'm like, okay, wow, this is a different way than my typical content creation, internet marketing style of things. And I'm like, I love that. And I mastered that over the course of about 2.5 years. Now, here's what will happen. One of the things that I recognized is I had allowed myself to kind of slide by with this idea that I don't need to track my daily workouts anymore. I don't need systems to check in. Did I work out today? How many times did I work out last week? How many times have I worked out in the last 30 days? How many days did I eat healthy foods that are aligned with my desire to live a ketogenic lifestyle? I did not have any system in place for those when the pandemic hit. Why? Because those were a part of my identity, and it was all bundled up in one package that I created in my mind, a program, a system in my mind. There's this, if you can imagine my mind and my subconscious is an operating system of a computer, I had installed an app that if once installed, it was called GymRat. All right. It was the Gym Rat app in Cliff 3.0. Installed in Cliff 3.0 operating system. And Cliff 3.0 operating system with the gym app installed, every day up early in the morning, immediately off to the gym, working out at least 45 minutes, sometimes up to an hour to 2 hours in a day. That Gym Rat also included listening to personal development materials, mostly from Tony Robbins, but also other audiobooks along the way, on the way to the gym, on the way from the gym. That app also included programming in there. Listen to affirmations while you're doing your cardio. Listen to inspiring music, or listen to this, or watch YouTube videos while you're on the Stairmaster. It had so many things, and it was all built into this one package, this one hypnotic, big app that ran on autopilot every day. And because of that, it was so reliable for so long that I just like, yeah, there's that thing's been perfected. Let me now go and put all of my attention on the Prosperous Coach. And the funny part is like, I'm doing the Prosperous Coach, and there was one time it was the summer/fall of 2019. So yes, matter of fact, yes, July, because I remember July and August. I was driving down to, was it Montgomery, Alabama? I can't remember. I can't remember exactly where in Alabama, but Giovanna Ellison invited me to come speak at her conference. And then I was speaking at Ray's conference in Franklin, Tennessee. And then I went and spoke. I spoke at 5 different conferences within 6 weeks. And every morning, in spite of all of the travel, in spite of all of these things, every morning I woke up and I went to the local gym. And if there was a Planet Fitness in town, I went to the Planet Fitness. I didn't care if it was a 50-minute drive to the Planet Fitness. I did it because Gym Rat app said this is what Cliff does. It was autopilot. I go to a gym. I'm a gym rat. That's my identity. This is what all of that means, and it was all built in. And that's one of the things that you can create. However, the pandemic hit, and they said 2 weeks to slow the spread. And 2 weeks, by the way, you can't come to the gym. It's closed. And then the gym was closed much longer. Well, guess what? The app. Have you ever had an update to your operating system, whether it's on your computer or on your phone, and then all of a sudden you go to load one of your favorite apps that you rely on and you use it every single day, and you click it and it pops up the screen and it instantly disappears. It crashes. Well, that's what happened. Every morning, the gym app tried to open in Cliff 3.0. The only thing is it's not Cliff 3.0. It's Cliff 3.25. It's been the operating has been upgraded to the fact that there's this new idea in the world called coronavirus and pandemic, and that requires gyms to be closed. And because of that, there's the APIs for the app to go to and log into the gym functionality that's been cut off, and so the app just keeps shutting down. And the thing is the app was almost like something that was running on autopilot. It's not even something that it's like, oh, it's not there. That wasn't even on my attention, because my focus was on the fear that I was tuned into on the news every day. During that time, I was actually watching the coronavirus task force several hours a day, every day. And I'm like concerned for my family. And that's what took my energy and attention away from the fact that that app's not running. I lost conscious awareness of it. And I also lost awareness of the tracking of everything that went with it. My eating habits, my everything that was tied up inside of that hypnotic rhythm slowly faded away because my attention and focus had faded away. Now, it's okay if your attention and your focus is put somewhere else. Like for me, it was on the Prosperous Coach method at the time, and that continued to flourish and even grow. because that's where my attention was. But here's the danger of not having systems in place to come back and evaluate. Hey, don't just assume this is always running. Maybe you want to set a once a month checkup, a reminder in your calendar system. Hey, how effective has the gym app successfully completed all of its tasks in the last 30 days? That would have been a great reminder for myself, because you know what that would have done? It would have actually pulled a check engine light onto the dashboard of the car of my life, and it would have said, hey, something's not working here. But the thing is, I wasn't even aware of the check engine light. I didn't put the programming code into my operating system of what I'm creating as a life to say, if this, then turn on some sort of check engine light. And so that's where I'm going with this metaphor. So for me, what happened was I focus on the Prosperous Coach method for creating clients. And as a result of that, one of the other things I had let go was the content creation on a consistent basis and all these other things. But here's what I will say is, on this personal retreat, I've been reflecting and evaluating. And I got to tell you, there are certain areas of my life over the last year and a half, 2 years, and when it came to my physical and health and fitness from 2020 through mid 2024, I'm not satisfied with my experiences in areas that I had previously mastered. At least I had created mastery in those areas, and I created masteries and accomplished so much and achieved so much because I had sustained energy, effort, and attention. So much so that I kept that energy and attention there until I wired into my subconscious mind a hypnotic rhythm, built an app that has automatic routines associated to pain and pleasure that immediately keep this thing running on autopilot. But I never really took the time to put checks in place. Hey, let's set a system up once a week. Check in. How did I do with these things over the past week? Once a month. How did I do with these this past month? Once a quarter. How did I do with these things? What are those things to be tracked? Now, what I can tell you is the things that have been tracked, they're freaking amazing. Like, for example, where attention goes, energy flows. Where focus goes, attention flows. What have I been focused on? Early morning waking up. I've got a massive streak on that. And the benefits that come with that are immense. The self-care that I have. Meditation. Today was my 1055th day consecutive of meditating. Journaling. I can't even remember the last day that I didn't journal. It's been a consistent, ongoing basis. Reading, studying, and growing. This app that I'm looking at right now, it's currently showing me today was my 378th day in a row without missing a day of reading, studying for my personal growth and development. See, these are the areas where I'm seeing massive achievement, massive progress, massive movement forward. And those are impacting every area of my life. And one of the things that I've done here is like, okay, what are the areas related to my content production, which basically is my ability to build relationships one to many. And then also, what is my relationship building techniques or my relationship building commitments for one-to-one? And I'm like, okay, I remember what those were when I was experiencing all of this amazing success. These are the things that I was doing when it came to content creation. These are the things when it came to the relationship building one-to-one. And now I actually said, okay, I'm going to focus on these. And I am already seeing results. It's just like, yeah, where focus goes, energy flows. I'll give you a perfect example of this. So one of the things that I've desired to do and made a commitment, I'm going to have at least 5 daily connections with people. And this is connecting with people in any form, shape, or another. It's like anything. This could be an email exchange. It could be a text message exchange. It could be a direct message in social media. It could be me leaving a comment after I've read somebody's long article or post or whatever. It's any connection with another human being, one-to-one, mostly somewhat time shifted, but it's not excluded to that. So that's at least 5 of those per day. That's a minimum. Now, many days this week I'm already at, I think, 9 today. I had 11 yesterday, 13 the day before. Those are probably a little bit higher because I am on this personal retreat. I've got a lot of extra time and energy, or a lot of extra free time down here, a lot of solitude, and not a lot of family commitments and other things that I would typically be doing at home. But yeah, so that's amazing. And then I made a decision. I'm going to do 4 30-minute connect calls. Now, these are not prospecting calls. This isn't me trying to convince anybody to hire me or stuff like that. It's just to connect with people who are my peers, people who are my mentors, my friends, my family, but also at least 40-minute or 4 connect calls with anyone who might be a potential client or might be somebody who could lead me to a potential client, which by the way, all of those prior groups of people are those people as well. So I've had, I think it was 9, maybe I'm actually might be at 10 now, and I'm actually getting ready in about 13 minutes to have my 10th one for this past 7 days. So 30-minute connect calls. And one of them, I was just in a conversation with somebody, and he's like, at the end of the call, he's like, hey, this is amazing. During this 30-minute call, I've written 4 pages of notes of things that I'm immediately going to start working on. This is blowing my mind. I hear, Cliff, I've been following you. I've been listening to your content. Tell me more about your mastermind group. Is that something that would it be a good thing for me? And this person's like, and I was like, hey, as long as I'm willing to have that conversation with you, as long as you understand, that's not why I scheduled this call. And he's like, no, I'm asking you. I want to know if you are willing to have me. I'd like to know, is this something that could be a good fit? And so we had a little bit more of a conversation, and I'm going to follow up, and we'll see if that becomes a reality. But this is what I'm talking. It's like, yes, these things naturally occur when the right person at the right time, that connection is there. Not everybody's meant to be my client, but I'll never know who is or is not a good fit if I'm not having those conversations. And how I lost the sustained focus and attention on creating those experiences, just connections, it's the easiest thing in the world. Anyway. So here's my encouragement to you. Number 1, recognize the power of focus. Whatever you put your conscious, focused attention on, sustained over time, you will create that in your reality. That's a guarantee. This, by the way, also is true of your negative stories of all of the dangers and possibilities of how things could go wrong and how bad things are. Keep your focus there, and you'll continue to create more of that experience in your life as well, I promise. So this works both ways, but I would ask you, where is your attention? Where is your focus? Is your focus on what you authentically desire, or is your focus on creating something that you think that you should desire? Is what you're going after authentically aligned with you and what you desire to experience in this thing we call life? Do you have your own definition of success? Do you have your own beliefs about wealth and prosperity? Or are they defined by others and what you're reading and hearing in podcast interviews? And then whatever it is that you choose to do you have a method of tracking and making sure that you're staying on target? Do you have practices like daily journaling about it? Do you have daily reminders? Do you use a habit tracking app? Whatever it is for you, do you have something that would call your attention, call your focus away from the TikTok, the Instagram Reels, the Facebook, the drama of the news of the day, and all of the other stuff vying for your attention and your focus? Do you have something, tools and strategies to pull your attention back to focusing on what you want to create. If not, I encourage you to find those systems and processes. And then I hope that you have discovered already how to create habits that go on autopilot so you can install that app called GymRat, which, by the way, I was able to upgrade the GymRat app, and thankfully Cliff version 4.0 post-pandemic has access to gyms again, and it's kind of nice to be able to plug in the things there. Although I did put some new programming that says, hey, if access to the gym does not equate, if that API doesn't show, then by golly, go out for a walk. Go turn on Fitness Apple Plus app and do some HIIT right there in your living room, whatever, or your hotel room, wherever you are. Yes. And then, so do you have the techniques and strategies to create autopilot rhythms so that you can actually take your attention off of it after, let's just say, 6 or 8 months, and then go put that focus somewhere else and create something new while that hypnotic rhythm continues to operate well for you? And then my next thing is, after you've learned to do all of that, one of the key lessons that is so important, set yourself reviews. For me, I'm going to go into my calendar and I'm going to set up a weekly reminder, and it's already on there every week. How have I done in these areas? And in that calendar reminder, it says see notes. And then down in the description of that calendar reminder, it's got a bullet point list of questions. And if I want to, I could use those questions as journal prompts on Sunday. And every week, I'm going to be reminded of that. And I'm going to create even bigger monthly reviews, reminders, and quarterly review reminders on all of these important things that have been focuses for me. Because I can't focus on everything. That matter of fact, that's the whole idea of focus. The reason why you are not consciously aware of the feeling of the shirt on your back against your skin on your back until right now is because your focus has been placed somewhere else. But notice that you actually can still hear my voice, and you now feel the actual feeling of the material of whatever it is that's up against the skin of your back. All right? Matter of fact, are you consciously aware of the color of the wall behind you? Are you consciously aware of at least 5 colors that you're exposed to in your room? Look around, or wherever you are. Just look. Can you count 5 different colors right now? I bet you weren't aware of all 5 of those colors prior to me asking that question. But right now I'm looking at a Christmas tree that my mom still has up here at the Link House, and it's got a beautiful glossy red ornament on the tree. The tree is green. There's a glossy green, much brighter, more beautiful color green ornament. There's silver. There's white stripes on some of the ornaments. There are salmon-colored walls. There is, there's brown hardwood floors. There's this rose-colored pattern on the kitchen table in front of me. I mean, I am becoming aware of all these things, and I'm bringing them to my awareness by focusing. But by the way, while I was focusing on those, I'm now consciously aware, just at this very moment, that while I was telling you about that, while I was experiencing and focusing on all of those different things, I was not feeling the material of my shirt on my back. Because where your focus goes, energy flows. If you can understand the deeper meaning even beyond the surface of that statement, I promise you it can transform your life. I hope you found some inspiration in this episode. If you have, I would love to hear from you. Get credit for putting your energy and attention here. Email me, cliff@cliffravenscraft.com. Let me know what this episode meant to you and what, more importantly, you're going to do with what you have heard. Maybe you heard something that I didn't even say. That's what I love about this kind of content. You have heard me speaking throughout this episode, and yet that internal higher part of who you are is speaking inspiration and life into you. What are you inspired to do? I'd love to hear what that inspiration is. I'm often blown away by things that people heard or what it meant to them, and I would love to hear. My email address is cliff@cliffravenscraft.com. If you would like to experience life with other full-time self-employed business owners who are absolutely committed to creating the life on their that they are determined to create for themselves. If you're looking for people who will understand that you don't always get it perfect, you'll never get everything perfectly right, that sometimes you put your focus in one area and then you lose it and go into some other areas, and sometimes your success and ebbs and flows, but you'd like a group of people who can help you be reminded to get back on track, that to focus on what you're grateful for, to stay in that high energy level, to re-tap into your creativity when sometimes there's a creative block. If you would like to have a community of other full-time self-employed business owners, I've got a mastermind group for you. Here's some great news. If you are an aspiring, meaning you want to be full-time self-employed, or you're in the earliest stages of being self-employed, I now have a different mastermind group for you. All you have to do is email me, cliff@cliffravenscraft.com, and tell me where you are and ask about if I have a mastermind group that would be good fit for you, and we can discuss the details. Until next time, I encourage you to take everything you do to the next level.
Mindset and